Hey, this is David Ramsey from Arrow, and you're listening to Tomorrow's Legends with Martin, The Flash, Harley Quinn, and X-Force 11. Oliver, don't.
You think you know the story. You've heard it 100 times. But this is not the tale that you know. For this part of the story has yet to be written. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they take the Waverider into the near future and check in on some old friends. This is the new adventures of Superman and Lois, as chronicled by Tomorrow's Legends.
Well, hello, Superfam of Steel. It's Scream Week here at the Legends Studio, and no, not the movie series, but the shriek of a banshee that's been immobilizing us every time we hear it. Someone install some dampeners, would you, so we can talk about Superman and Lois Season 3, Episode 8. Guess who's coming to dinner? Because I sure am not. I'm not feeling hungry in this neighborhood, The Flash.
And I'm actually kind of hungry. Harley Quinn.
And I'm off to the Smallville Fire Department to fill in until John is reinstated. I'm X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
Hello, Gideon. So, are you trying to tell us, Harley, that was your kind of joint, your kind of restaurant? You'd like to be around all that violence?
Absolutely. I'm Harley Quinn. Hello.
Yeah.
100%.
Crazy stuff. All right, let's dive into some news.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
Yeah, so it's been a busy week over at the CW. Earlier in the week, the Hollywood Reporter claimed that the CW is going to reveal its broadcast strategy for the season next week. And I put down so we should know about Superman and Lois, but we've been getting news all this week. So right as of this moment, there are 3 series that have yet to be renewed or canceled. All-American Homecoming, Superman and Lois, and Gotham Knights. So the Hollywood Reporter is saying that the network will likely opt to only bring back one of the 2 DC shows, and Superman and Lois has the bigger audience, averaging 1.2 million viewers over 7 days, as opposed to 675,000 for Gotham Knights. But it's also pricier. Gotham Knights is the least expensive DC series CW has ever aired, which is wild because they've got some decent effects. I wouldn't say it's lacking there, but so
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but like right now it's like Walker, All American are the 2 series that they've renewed. They're pulling in a lot of stuff from Canada. They're pulling stuff in like adding like IndyCar racing and
I saw that
golf and things like that. So, it's just wild what they're trying to do. I think it's going to be interesting to see. So
they're going in a whole new direction, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Or many directions. Like I don't think they know where they're going.
Yeah, I said in a tweet this week that we're not going to truly see what the new CW is for a couple years. They're gonna have to stabilize and decide what they're gonna do. I think pulling in a lot of these series from Canada and other places allows them to pull stuff in for cheaper because it's already being co-made and they're just getting rights. They're not having to pay straight out for rights and different things like that. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely cheaper because Canadian dollar is way lower than yours, and when they're buying stuff from us, it doesn't even cost them that much. That's why a lot of the shows get made up here, because it saves them a lot of money.
Yeah.
But Superman and Lois that's double the viewers of Gotham Knights, so you would expect it to be Superman and Lois, especially after we've heard that the producers love this show and they already have season 4 kind of written and ready to go. They've got big plans for it, so I can't see them canceling that.
Yeah.
We should be in the clear on that one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And, even if we don't, I'm hopeful that, either Max or maybe Amazon will pick it up, because I know Amazon is doing the new Batman animated series that was supposed to be on HBO Max. So,
well, maybe Max will pick it up. CW let it go, and it just transitions over to Max because that's where half the money's coming from anyway, right?
Yeah, they've got the streaming rights to it. So,
that's true.
Yeah. So, just a quick reminder: there is no new Superman and Lois next week, but the next episode will be back on the 23rd with episode 9 entitled "The Dress." So next week is a break, and so somewhere in there's one more week without a Superman and Lois before the finale. So it's not going to be concurrent back to back. So we've got a week break, then back on. So we'll see. So
interesting. That's weird. I would have thought they were going to do it together because they're the way they're going to have to put that last break is going to be weird. I guess it depends on how they've filmed the run up into the finale, but I guess you do it before. It would be weird to come back for a week and then be off again a week, but I feel like that's the natural place to put another break in this season. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
because you kill momentum if you put it anywhere else too close to the finale.
Yes.
Right? Because I can see them taking maybe the 30th off.
Because it's Memorial Week.
Yeah, I can see them taking maybe the 30th off.
I didn't even think
and
about
then that would run the next the next couple few weeks. So
Okay, that may slightly make sense.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe.
You could just air it up here in Canada. We don't celebrate the same holidays. Just let me watch it and you guys can catch up.
There you go. You get to do a solo podcast? That might be really interesting.
Yeah.
It's all spoilers.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a spoiler. The entire episode.
Do not listen yet.
It's just the Flash talking about Superman and Lois because it's all spoilers.
I am the Flash. I just ran ahead to the future to see what was happening and I came back. Right?
Perfect. See? This is so on brand. I love it.
Yes. Goodness.
But with all that talk, I mean, CW, I don't even know what CW stands for, but it sounds like it's going to start to stand for crazy, wild programming. Like, they just don't know what they're doing, right?
I don't remember what the CW stands for either. I remember back when it was
CBS and Warner Brothers.
Oh, because I was saying, I remember back in the day when it was just the WB, which was Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Interesting. Well, there you go. There's a little bit of news, and then I know you guys can't see me listening, but you see what I'm rocking today. Like I'm all about us today.
I know you've got it all.
Gear. He's got his old school Legends mug. He's got his new Legends baseball tee.
I guess.
And a Maple Leafs hat.
Yeah.
Well, hey, okay, let's do a quick switch here. There, better?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I got our Legends hat.
We got the Legends hat on.
Got to support the Leafs, though, because they won. They were on the brink of elimination last night, down 3-0 in a best of 7, and they won. Now it's 3-1, so now they got to win the next 3 in a row to
oh, jeez.
It's insane. Crazy playoff. But that's not what people want to hear. They want to hear our discussion on the show. Let's get into Superman and Lois.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
And our ratings.
Mm-hmm. So I gave this one 8.5 ruined dinners. So we had the super action at the end of this episode, and we got a lot of setup and world building in the first half of this episode. We found out that Bruno and Peia set up Lex and basically used Lois and Clark to help take him down with the reporting they did on him. And we also got some nice turns and twists in progress with the boys' storyline. So I thought this was a solid setup episode for kind of what's coming in the introduction of Lex and just, different things. Like I said, it was set up first half and action second half or last third or whatever, but I enjoyed it.
I did too. I'm gonna come in a little bit higher with 9 unexpected dinner guests. Because it all came crashing down. I was definitely wondering when this reveal would come throughout this season. And I mean, once we knew Nat was meeting Matteo's parents this week, you had to know that everything was going to come out. They're going to put all the pieces together. And so the only question I had throughout this episode was, would they actually find out who Peia's alter ego is? And as it turns out, they did find that out. So everything's all out on the table, and I like that. I also really enjoyed how they're explaining Lex. They're continually starting to drop his backstory in subtly, and now they're revealing this episode that it was actually Lois and Clark that put him in prison after Bruno and Peia framed him. So I love how it's all integrated in this whole story, and it's just really making a lot of sense for me. So I think it was well done.
I am splitting my rating. It's an 8/10. Don't stay for dessert.
Oh, I thought you just put 8 out of 10. Okay, I get it.
8/10.
So a 9.
No, it's because the episode was very, very heavily set up, like X-Force said, and then the last half was like all the revealing. So I'll get into it. It took a bit to ramp up, but wow, what an ending! 8 for the first 3/4 of the show as we get a slow burn buildup of where everyone is at and what's going on. I like the fireman story for both John and Kyle as it gives them relevance. Plus, in a show about Superman, we can't forget that firemen are our original heroes. Once the build-up peaks, though, man, we get blown away with a solid 10 of holy crap moments, tension, action, and revelations. They really blew the roof off with how it finished. Just watching Peia fully let loose was nightmare-like, terrifying, and shocking, but also equally gut-wrenching and sad to see her expend that much and then collapse, because we all love her as Peia. Ultimately, my theory was bang on, just a bit out of order. Instead of them all getting along before having the reveal and betrayal, we see the truth come out, followed by the fight, and then Superman offering to take Peia to safety before she dies, which I think is my new theory, is what will bring them together in the end, as we now know Lex will be let out after the false accusations against him will be overturned. So I have a feeling, that's my prediction, that I said things were a bit mixed up. I think they fight each other, and now they're going to realize, what the heck are we doing? Lex is going to get out. He's the ultimate threat. So even though Peia was attacking Superman and John Henry, he still said, I got to get her to the hospital before she dies. And Bruno's like, yeah, save my wife. And he takes off with her. So I think that little bit is enough for them to realize, we can't do this. We're going to have, you save my wife. We got to figure something out. I have a feeling they're going to come together to take on Lex as this series goes on.
Interesting.
That is an interesting theory.
Cool.
See how it plays out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Can't wait.
Let's get to our talking points. And once again, we got a new logo sound tradition. And it's a very, very sad one, I guess you could call it. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, because those opening scenes were rough. We're going to talk about that, not right this very second, but
okay,
just had to say that.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the opening scene for sure.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of breather in there first. So I thought we'd talk about the Kent boys and the Cushings. So Lana has tickets to see The Cure in concert, but she can't get anybody to go with her. I'm like, come on, take me,
Right?
I'll go.
I volunteer.
But I did appreciate that they used a lot of the music in this episode and how it kind of flowed into things and how they use that opportunity in her trying to give away the tickets as a means to carry that storyline, her through the different storylines. So.
Makes you wonder how much they paid for the rights to The Cure, because that was a lot of Cure music they played.
I was just about to say that, yeah. Especially at the very end where it's like an awesome montage, but set to like pretty much the whole song.
Right.
And you hear a clip like earlier, and I was like, wow, that was some cash.
Yeah. But like you just said, I mean, the montage, it was they did that twice. They did it in the opening, which we'll get to, and they did it with The Cure. And this episode was so well put together with music, and the music always, sometimes when you have a montage you don't need dialogue, you just show us clips of things happening and we get it, we understand, we see what's going on. The music emphasizes that, and man, this show is just really nailing it in the editing department and the directing on how to piece it together.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
So Flash talked about John and being a firefighter and he and Kyle's storyline, and I'm with you. I liked that John has been working over these past weeks, months, that he's been a part, and Kyle has kind of promoted him to be a part of the National Junior Firefighters. And it's one of those things. I had a lot of friends growing up who were kind of involved with that. My dad still owns a store, but when I was growing up, he had guys who worked for him who were volunteer firefighters or part-time. So being able to step up into this junior firefighter, I mean, it was so nice for John just to be recognized for his drive and wanting to be there, and the other firefighters recognizing that. And it just leads into the heartbreak because they go to this fire and Jordan saves a guy and puts him wisely at John's feet, but John gets in trouble for that because Kyle thinks he's gone in when he told him not to. So it leads into a lot of back and forth between the brothers because of that.
Yeah. No, okay, so first point, and I'll let Flash interject, and then I have like a second point, but on the firefighting in general, I love that him having this gig it gives him a purpose. It gives him a new passion. I am a little bit surprised his parents don't have a little bit more to say about training for such a dangerous job at 16. But I mean, I feel like maybe there should have been just a tad more of a conversation, because it feels like when he and Jordan talk, Jordan's really like downplaying what he's doing, kind of like, oh, you're just an intern, you're just getting coffee or whatever. But now he's actually going to be trained to be a firefighter. And so I'm like, did they have this conversation? Has he had this conversation with his parents? I felt like there should have been a little bit more there for such like a dangerous profession, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to say if there was or not, because I would just imagine Clark and Lois very proud of him. Like, okay, you go do this, because they know what he's struggling with, especially after the last couple episodes when we saw John freaking out saying, yeah, it might be easier for you, but hope doesn't solve this and hope doesn't cure that. We're just regular humans. So this is just continuing that storyline for him, and allowing him to step into a role and start to gain some confidence and start to gain some self-worth about himself, that, hey, I can do this and I can be with these other guys like Mr. Cushing, who is a hero, and I can be part of that, and I can save people's lives, and I can do something, that's very well respected with my life. And it's such a good story point for him, and I just love it. I love what they're doing, and like I said, it gives Kyle something else. He can be a mentor, and we don't just see a side romp in the sack story for him. We don't just see the divorce wah stuff. We've got a story for him. He can be a mentor. He can be important in Jonathan's life, and really play out that firefighting, which is cool because we've seen that in previous seasons, his firefighting. So I'm glad they're kind of working that back into his storyline, because it is important. Like, firefighters are a big deal. I think I think more so than any other profession, firefighters truly are the heroes of regular everyday jobs.
Right. And the school district I work with has, for high school, a career program for students wanting to be firefighters. So they're learning to operate the equipment. They're training. They're doing all those different things. And they are going to be able to go and get the pick of the litter anywhere they want to go to work full time. I mean, and there are other school districts coming along saying, you know, this is needed as a profession. How can we do this? Because in the past, like we see here, where there's not like a formal school program, it's done in-house. And there is an understanding of, like, yeah, they're going to learn some things, but we won't send them in as, you know, as much.
Right.
But there is an understanding. And so, like the high school program in our district, they're learning a lot of the technical aspects. They're learning a lot of the stuff, so that when they roll in, they'll be able to go into those next steps. But small town, they're going to have to learn it on the job. So Clark was raised there, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, he's seen that. So there's got to be some understanding of, you know, the dangers involved. So
yeah, I know. I mean, I think it's overall, I think it's great. I was a little surprised there wasn't more of a conversation about him exploring this as like a serious like career path, because I feel like at this point he's like really committed into it. But what did surprise me a little bit was kind of to see Jordan downplaying John's achievement so much, because I mean, clearly he's really training to be a firefighter. And like you said, Jeff, I assume if he finishes his training, they're going to employ him after he's 18. I mean, even though he's not a superhero, I mean, firefighters, as we've been saying, are real life heroes. So I was very surprised to see Jordan kind of like downplay the whole thing and just be like, oh, well, you're just getting coffee. I was like, that's why I was like, well, maybe his parents don't know he's really seriously training to become a fireman, and maybe there should be a bigger conversation about this. So I don't know.
Yeah, I you know, we'll get into some of the conversation, you know, about between the two brothers, because that's my favorite scene. But I think some of it's the good-natured ribbing between brothers of like comparing, okay, I'm training to be, you know, a superhero like my dad versus, you know, my bros, you know, getting coffee, you know, and I think there's a lack of understanding between both of them of what, you know, they're doing. I mean, I guess John can kind of see what his brother's doing because he's seen, you know, his dad and that kind of stuff. But I think there's just some ribbing going on and some lack of understanding between the two of them. So
interesting way. See, I took it completely different. I was pissed off at Jordan. I'm like, you little a-hole. He is rubbing it in his brother's face that he's not super powered in this moment. He's like, he's like, I'm training to fight. I'm training to save people. I got power. Because he yells in his face. He's like, I got heat vision. What do you got? Like, he completely rubbed it in. I'm like, you are being the biggest jerk right now to your brother. Like, after what he's gone through recently, you're going to take this opportunity to kick him while he's down? You little jerk. Like, if I was Sarah, I would have said, Jordan, you know what? You can leave. You're an ass. Get out of here. Like, I don't want to hang out with you tonight, because that was cruel. That was really, really cruel what you had to say to your brother. Because it obviously means a lot to him. Why would he show up that upset about it? It means a lot to him. So
right.
No, it does for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he should have listened to Kyle's orders and stay by the truck. So that was kind of his mistake by going but there was nobody else around. Jordan dumped the body outside the house. He's gonna go try and grab that person and pull him away. Like, it was just an instinct to go help, but of course it doesn't look like that to Kyle. So it was just an uncomfortable situation. I felt bad for him getting in trouble because Kyle wasn't willing to listen, but at the same time I was also going, Jonathan, speak up, explain yourself clearly here. I don't understand. Like, we get this type of writing in TV shows where, you know, someone's getting in trouble or someone's falsely accusing someone and they just sit there and go, just explain yourself and they'll understand. And Jonathan could have said, this person came out of the building. They dropped down. I just came over here to get him. I did not go in the building. But he didn't say that at all. and he just let Kyle rip into him and get him, and I'm like, oh man, defend yourself. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't quick on his feet, and he's looking up to Kyle as a hero mentor. So I think that's some of it too. So yeah.
True. I mean, I guess I don't allow myself to get into trouble or get accused of things that I know for a fact I never did. I will not take it. I stand up for myself. So that kind of thing just bugs me.
Yeah. So Sarah did give, Jordan some good advice, and we'll talk about that because it's not my favorite scene. But I liked, the turnaround where Jordan gives her some advice about her mom, and we get to see them enjoying the cure together there at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was interesting and kind of different that we get to see Lana and Sam kind of talking with each other about their dating lives and things going on. So I thought this was a neat way of putting two people that don't normally get screen time together. So, it was fun.
Have they ever had a scene together that lasted more than 5 seconds? I can't remember ever seeing them together.
No, other than maybe, like a party scene or something like that. But no in depth.
So it was, I didn't realize they knew each other well enough to sit down and talk about life like that. I didn't know. So it was different.
Yeah, no. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought they were great as scene partners. So I would like to see them have some more scenes together. And I like that they were able to kind of support one another. I think, did I choose this one as my favorite scene? I think I did.
Yes.
Okay, so I can't even remember. So this will come back. I clearly really like this scene. I thought it was well done, and I enjoyed them being able to support one another. And hopefully, I'll remember some other things to say after I hear the scene again.
Yeah.
It
was fun.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into a little more of the harder stuff to watch in this episode. And with Lois's battle, she completes her 5th treatment and is very weak. The montage was just amazing of Clark supporting her and the boys as well. I was like, what are they doing? And then I realized they're putting her office away and making that her bedroom. And so she doesn't have to go up and down stairs and that kind of stuff because of her condition. It was just a powerful scene. And something that I just caught is we actually know her official age in the series because on her chemo bag it lists her age as 41. So we actually know how old she is in terms of this series. So that's something kind of unique, but
which is cool too.
Yeah.
No, that's neat. I'm glad they put that out there. And I agree. I thought these scenes were also really hard to watch, but because they were so well done, I thought that the director and of course Bitsy and Tyler and everyone in these scenes they did just a phenomenal job. But she was really front and center, and just like you said, there's no dialogue. It was just this montage, and it was heartbreaking to watch. So it was extremely well done. It was very well put together. I loved it. And Jeff, I think you may have answered this because I was wondering, I was why did they move her down to the front room? Was it really just because she can't get around as easily, so they just want her to be downstairs so she's closer to everything she needs?
Yeah, because there was that clip of Clark carrying her upstairs to the bedroom.
Yeah.
So it was after that I think they decided, so she has some dignity, let's make her bedroom downstairs so she can come and go as she needs to.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And not risk her
falling.
Getting weak and falling down the stairs or anything like that.
If I truly could, I would have picked this as my favorite scene because it just was so beautiful. It's sad. Yeah. It's upsetting, but the montage and the music and everything was just absolutely gorgeous. And what a way to open an episode. It just tugs at the heartstrings right off the bat and sets the mood for this episode. And you're just like, oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh, this story's getting tough. Like every episode, it's getting a little more tough. And these guys, right now, I really want to give it to Tyler Hoechlin. This guy is the best actor we've ever seen playing Clark or Superman. He really, really can nail both the human side and the superhero side. It's unbelievable what this guy can do. And I feel for him. Watching him have to take care of his sick wife, I feel for his character. It's crazy.
Yeah, if I said it on Twitter, but like if they don't win awards and this series does not win awards for this season and the acting and just the writing, I'm just going to be really upset because like this is top quality acting from both Tyler and Bitsy and just great writing of how much they went into making this feel real. So
yeah,
let them at least get acknowledged. If they at least get nominated and get acknowledged, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
but they do
I'll be
deserve
surprised.
it.
They deserve it, absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic, but little shows like this don't normally make it onto the radar. But I hope they get some sort of acknowledgement. They absolutely deserve it.
And it's stories like this and writing like this is the reason why the show needs to go on 5 seasons minimum.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's very well done. I agree.
Yeah, definitely. So Clark and Chrissy are pushing to pursue the Mannheim story, but Lois is very reluctant to do so because of her relationship with Peia and with her cancer battle. So I think this was tough too, because you see just how conflicted she is because of those feelings and how tired she is, and putting herself in Pia's shoes. Like it was just a looking at it this way, you could really identify why she was thinking that way, and then you also could see it from Clark and Chrissy's side too. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of without the knowledge of who Peia really is, which it comes in later, but I actually kind of agree with Lois. I mean, exposing her marriage to Bruno does seem a little underhanded, so I didn't really fully agree with that, but I did really love Clark and Chrissy as a duo. And then when the three of them kind of get to team up a little bit later, I was like, I am all here for this. Let's have all the reporting stories. I love it.
I am totally with you, Harley. I think before the end of the episode comes through, I expected after last week that this was going to be a point that they were going to back off.
Yeah.
And Lois totally did. I'm actually really kind of confused and surprised that Clark would want to continue pursuing this, because he's the one that has the bigger heart that usually does back off and go, well, let's think about it, because we've seen Lois pursuing. So it's an interesting role switch there. I really, really was surprised he decided to go after it. Chrissy kind of bugs me about it. I did not like her this episode because she seemed to just take compassion and heart right out of it. She didn't care. It's all about the story. It's all about our readers. Our readers want to read this. Man, I'm like, oh my God, shut up. Where's your humanity here? Who cares about your damn story? You're going to rip someone's life apart just because you think they might be a bad guy? He's still suffering. His wife is still dying. You've got to have a heart for that. And Lois acknowledged that and saw that and doesn't want to pursue anymore because Peia became her friend and she doesn't want to expose like that. All that's going to do is make her suffer more and make her more sick and make her more weak from having to deal with the public exposure. Lois was right here. And I'm surprised Clark went against that. I really am.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's rough because, he's dealt with Bruno in both as Clark and as Superman, and this hench person that he doesn't know is Pia's come after him.
Yes. And
so, he is still doing due diligence to look into stuff. And so, I think it's, and maybe it's his reporter side, and maybe it's like, okay, we saw Lois push herself into work earlier in this season to take her mind off the cancer battle, and maybe this was some of what Clark was doing as well, digging into that stuff to take his mind off, the cancer battle, and also to put himself in Lois's shoes if she was in full, like, he was having to be him and her, since she didn't have the strength and didn't really want to pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. So,
yeah. Possibilities, I guess.
Yep. So Sam brings in all the files that they've got on Bruno, and I appreciate this because Sam is really encouraging her to dig into things and look into what's going on. And she's very reluctant at first, but then once she gets started, I mean, she really puts two and two together and finds that, it really was Ani or Ano, or however we want to say it, Onomatopoeia, who took out Boss Moxie and the leaders, and then they're listening to the tape that where Lex is, being, the one who said he took him out, and that's where Clark kind of hears the sound in there and ties it to this villain. So I really liked getting to see her dig into things, even though she is, weak energy wise. So
it reignited her desire to look into it farther, which goes against everything I just said about agreeing with her. So I was like, but she really wasn't looking into Peia. She was looking into Bruno and wanted to just find. She wanted to dig more up about it. I still don't think she was going to expose their marriage or anything. She just wanted to dig into Bruno a little bit more and see what else she could find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she wanted the story to be about Bruno, and then they sort of took a spin on it, and I think the spin was what she didn't particularly like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
But talking about that tape, I mean, we got that coming up in a little bit. It was interesting that we heard that sound.
Yeah.
Clark's like, I hear that every time I face this person, and just the revelation of it all. I'll get into it a little bit more in our favorite scenes, but that really was the big bomb dropping on this episode. Like, whoa, like holy cow, blow the doors wide open on the story here. So I'll say more about it when it comes up. But
okay.
Yeah.
So while she's looking into those files, Clark and Chrissy are questioning the older chemo patient, and no, I'm not just doing that. She still has no name in IMDb. I don't know, why they haven't bothered to give this actress a name.
Chemo patient.
Yeah, it's older chemo patient. I'm like, give her a name. I know,
well, maybe there's a reason.
Yeah, I mean,
they didn't give Peia a name for the first half of the season either.
Yeah,
she seemed pretty upset that they were digging into Peia too. So,
well, I mean, we learn a lot because of her, though.
Oh yeah,
because she tells them that she's known Peia most of her life, and that in high school, Peia, quote unquote, lost her voice and became very withdrawn, and it was Bruno that gave her voice back. So I'm speculating here that this is when either Peia got her powers, or when they manifested, or something, and that's why she was very withdrawn and not speaking, and because she hadn't, had no control over anything. So
yeah. Now I felt this lady's wording was very specific. She very specifically said she lost her voice. Bruno gave her her voice back. She was quiet. She wouldn't speak. I was like, this is really specific. I think it's going to be revealed that she's someone more than we're thinking that she is. And I definitely think she already knows about Pia's powers. I think she's somehow involved in all of the things.
She's protecting
Interesting.
her,
Her wording was extremely specific and like very on the nose, to the point of like, okay, either this is extremely cheesy or she knows more than she's letting on. So that's where I'm falling.
Good point.
Just digging into that a little more, the fact that Peia was quiet and didn't want to speak, I think that's because she couldn't control her power. If she tried to talk, she lost control of the scream. And
No, we saw that at the dinner table.
Yeah. So Bruno probably helped her gain control of it. I don't think he gave her powers. He just helped her figure it out.
I agree.
So again, is she a natural born meta?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Questions.
Yeah.
Love it, though.
Yeah. So let's dig into the Irons and the Mannheim families here, because she is not doing well. Peia is putting on a very brave face for Matteo, but she's very weak, and you can just see how much effort it's taking her to be able to be there for her son, and Bruno's trying his best to help her out and maybe say maybe next time, but she's not taking that for an answer. So
yeah, I think she can feel she doesn't have a lot of time left.
Yeah,
you kind of know. I feel like.
Well, when you start coughing up blood, something's going on pretty bad.
Yeah, that's
true.
Yeah, but it was neat to see the little bow tie scene, and
it was so cute.
And the date is going very well with everybody. I mean, we don't know when we're first go in there that like 99.9% of everybody in there except for Nat, basically everybody but Nat, is Bruno's people.
Yeah. I thought the restaurant was like a little empty, but then when they pan, like after he walks in, I was like, oh no, there's some people there. I was like, but I feel like it's less busy than it should be. And then we find out why. Because everyone there was a plant, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Protection. Just like a good mafia boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
we were like, how is John Henry going to find out about this? And is he going to show up there and see them? Well, it's a little more convoluted. So he does the good thing and, like giving his daughter space, and then he goes and talks to this world's version of his sister, and that's where he finds out the ties to Little Aces and Bruno. So,
oh yeah,
that was interesting, because as soon as he dropped the name of the restaurant, you saw her face just go, oh,
just change.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what restaurant that is?
And of course we know, so we're just like waiting for him to figure it out. I'm like, something has to happen. How's he gonna find it out?
Yeah, and then he finds out, and he makes the trip over there.
Yeah, and so, man, this is where we start to get the action, because we get the showdown between John Henry, and Bruno, and then Steele and Onomatopoeia. And this was brutal. Just seeing Bruno beat the crap out of John Henry here was just like the rage there. So,
well, there was a lot going on in that scene, because once he showed up, Bruno switched. He was, I'm the nice, friendly dad getting to know my daughter, my kid's girl, and as soon as John Henry showed up, he switched, and he didn't even care. He's like, get the kids out of here, take hold of Natalie, take hold of whatever. Like he was going to hold Natalie hostage. I think he told his men to grab her and not let her leave, because John Henry's like, Nat, get out of here, and his goons grabbed her. She wasn't allowed to go, and he just switched. And then What was he doing? Like we saw that he had a bunch of rings on his hand, but then he wrapped his hand in a napkin before he started punching him. So was that to protect his hand from any evidence that, yeah, I did punch this guy? Like, I think that's what that was. Like, if I wrap it up, then there'll be no evidence on myself that I beat this man up. So I think that was probably legal reasons. I didn't see him wrap anything in. It's not like he wrapped up a set of brass knuckles or anything, right? Like, it just looked like...
Yeah, just he had rings on.
Yeah.
He had rings on, yeah.
But
It's probably to a combination of, like, keeping them clean / keeping them free of evidence and, like, kind of maybe prolonging the torture. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I tell you what that scene made me feel. When I was watching him beat down John Henry, he looked like he's pretty strong. Bruno does not hit lightly, and it reminded me of Daredevil and Kingpin.
Oh, yeah.
How Kingpin is a little bit extra strong compared to everybody else, and when Kingpin lays a punch, it hurts like that. Because John Henry he's usually pretty tough, but those punches were taking him down. Like his goons had to hold him up to keep him up. So, yeah, it was brutal. We haven't seen, I think, just raw violence like that yet on the show. So that was a real jaw-dropping, like, silence in the room type of moment.
Right, and you think about that from Bruno's perspective here. Like, he's seen his son, he's seen how much his son cares for Natalie. He's, maybe like made ties back to him and Peia growing up.
Right.
And then you turn around and here's this guy who's basically your enemy that you've threatened, and that's Nat's dad, and you have like that betrayal, that like, it's just like, it's that extra rage of like, I had, this perfectly nice thing separated over here, and I had this relationship over here separated, and now they put together, and it's just like, an extra dose of adrenaline. I don't know. It was just wild.
Yeah, I'm still surprised that he was that bold, because Natalie was there. She's technically a witness. So he's just gonna kill her dad and then kill her too? Is he then gonna kill his son? Like, how is he gonna explain that? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand. Like, I get, like, from like a thought process perspective, why him seeing John Henry was like triggering and like kind of flipped a switch in him. But like, I don't feel like any of that was thought through. It's like, okay, now what do you do with Natalie? Okay, so you're going to kill her dad, so you're going to kill her too. Then what about your son? You know, like, how, like, in what world does any of this work? Like, it doesn't.
I think,
right.
I think he's got the power to make people disappear.
Right, but then he still has to explain to Matteo why he murdered his girlfriend and his girlfriend's dad.
Well, I don't know if he would have killed Natalie. I think he would have just put her away, kept her captive, like he does with a lot of people. I think he would have just kept her captive. How he deals with his son, I have no idea. That's something that we have yet to see. I mean, we do see in the montage at the end during the Cure music that his son is really pissed off at him and walks out of the room on him. So I think he's still trying to play up to Matteo and still try to be like, look, son, like, you don't understand. You don't know the history. Like, I think he's trying to explain that to him, and Matteo's just like, I don't want to know, you ruined my relationship. Like, the teenager reaction. So I think there's going to be more involved to that. I just think Bruno would have made Natalie disappear by keeping her hostage or something like that. I think because he said get them out of here. I think he was getting her out of there so she didn't witness the beatdown. He wasn't going to do...
No, he was going to shoot him point blank in the head. He was going to murder him.
Yeah,
How do you
but
explain...
he had said to his goons to get the kids out of here before that moment. So she was on her way being grabbed and taken out. So she might not have witnessed the actual killing if it got to that point.
And
no, but
she's going to know that...
And it's not like he's going to let her go.
Right.
He can't.
Yeah.
So
at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm curious before this instance how much Matteo knew about his parents' history. Like,
I think he was pretty shocked. I don't think he knew anything.
I agree. I definitely, I don't think he knows necessarily they've kept back how bad his mom's condition is, but I also think they have kept all of their past out of his, his line of sight. Like I talked about earlier in the season, he is this second generation wealth guy who has no clue how his parents got it and how they earned it and things like that. But I think he's starting to see now, how they got it. So,
well, probably my dad owns a hospital. That's big money. So, that's probably all he knew. You own a hospital. The amount of millions of dollars that go through there in a month.
Yeah,
probably.
He's got protection. He's always had protection. He's an important guy. The street.
I just have the feeling he didn't know anything about the darker side of things. So
no.
So this was a big reveal for him too.
Yeah, especially about his mom too. I don't think he knew she had powers at all. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of some of the questions that I had. Like, because Nat and Matteo now are still around. They didn't get secreted off or whatever. So, like, how much did they see? Have they put the pieces together or not? Like, I don't understand how much they really even know and how much they even really saw. Yeah. That was my question.
I think they they were out on the street and came to the alley just as Peia was firing her last shot at Superman before she collapsed. So I think they saw that.
They did see that. Okay.
I think so.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah. I can take a peek at it while you guys continue on to the next point.
Yeah. I mean, the battle scene was just amazing. Seeing her blast Steel out of the restaurant, just like in that full armor, like just blasting him out, like throwing him against the walls in the alleyway, just ripping his armor with her voice. I mean, it was just, Bruno was like egging her on to do it, but like just seeing that strength of the power that she was unleashing on him. The special effects were great, and just seeing how much it was taking out of her was amazing too. I mean, he would have been done for if Superman didn't come to save the day.
Yeah. No, I mean, I as much as I love this part of the episode, it was super heavy on the action, and I think the effects were really well done. It starts to bring up more questions for me, because why does she end up joining the fight in the first place? One minute she's preventing Bruno from killing John Henry, and the next she's the one who's ready to kill him. I don't understand the switch there, at all. These are the parts between the two of them where this episode did break down for me a little bit. I didn't understand why Bruno was just gonna kill John Henry and move on with life and try to figure out what to do with Natalie as if none of it ever happened. And then the same thing, she's trying to convince him not to do this thing, and then 2 seconds later it's oh, now I've decided I'm gonna join the fight. I've decided you're a big enough threat.
Yeah, it was after the he got the steel armor that she
exactly, and then she just turned. I was like, what? This makes no sense. Did you just now figure out who he is? I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it's the threat of her family. She's very protective of what, Bruno changed her life and won her over, and then her son being there. I think the threat of John Henry being in his armor showing up is what made her switch and made her decide to defend her husband.
Okay.
Is what I think. Because you're right. In the restaurant, she was saying, Bruno, stop, don't do this. But when the fight ensues, she's going to protect him the way he has always protected her. So I think it was just a switch. Fight for my family. That's all that matters. And I think she learned from Bruno that there's certain moments that you just have to react, and that is it. And when this guy shows up in a robotic armor suit, and he's about to, take out your husband, you're the one with power, so you jump in to save him. That's all I think that was. She did. I do agree with you, Harley, because I was trying to think, well, why she went all out here?
Yeah, she was really going at it.
Yeah, and I just feel like it was after I thought about it, I feel like it was a last ditch effort of defense, because Bruno was going to kill John Henry, and if John Henry can, turn the fight around and take it to her husband, she's probably thinking, he's going to kill my husband, so I have to step in. I think that's all it was. She has to step in case her husband loses this fight. And it's just instinct, just familiar instinct, or familial instinct, protect my family. That's all I think that was. Now, I went through the scene while you guys were talking. Natalie and Matteo were out in the street, and the bodyguard had them. They were being led away to a car.
Yeah.
So they weren't part of any of that. They were being taken away. All the action happens, and they didn't witness any of it. It wasn't until... let me see if I can just find... It wasn't until she collapses, and she collapses and Bruno's leaning over her. That's when they walk around the corner and see it. And Superman is there, and Superman he says, let me save her, and he picks her up and goes. So they didn't witness any of the fighting. I don't know if they saw her. I don't know if they saw her screaming or what, but because the fight began in the street, like when she first blasts John Henry, she blasts him into the alleyway, and then they walk in the alley after him. So I don't know if the kids witnessed that. It doesn't look like they did, but yeah, they didn't. They didn't see anything. They come running in after the fact.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, that's not. You know what? That's not even them. That's. Those are more goons. They all have guns. Wow. Actually, they don't. Sorry. Let me correct that. It's not even them. The kids do not even come to the alley. Okay. Yeah. Three people come running in at the end there, but it's goons with guns. So. Yep. Nope. 3 goons with guns. So the kids are nowhere to be found. They did not witness anything.
Wow.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, I know John Henry flies Nat off after Superman has flown Peia off, because Bruno tells him to leave, and so he flies over and picks her up in midair. So they do come, but it's definitely after the action. Okay.
Yeah. So I just want to add, what you guys were talking about that scene, I just want to add my thoughts to it. Like that, this is why I gave this part of the episode a 10, because it was so it wasn't like action packed like a big Superman chase sequence. It was action in a different sense, a very dramatic showdown, like at the OK Corral kind of showdown in the back alleyway. Like Peia was beating both of them. Her power was so strong that she had John Henry on his knees, and Superman showed up and said, stop, and then he collapsed to his knees. She is that powerful, and that she took both of them down. It's only because she's sick. It's only because she burnt through whatever energy she had left that she collapsed from the exertion. But I just, the actors playing Peia, that it was insane how... I don't even know what the words are to describe it, but I have never seen anyone scream like that. That's why I called her a banshee in my open monologue, because it just reminded me of that. Like if you're running out in the middle of a forest out in some haunted area, and a banshee comes out, that's the kind of thing you would witness, is a banshee screaming like that, like this demonic spirit yelling at you where it melts the skin off your face. That's the kind of feeling I got from that scene. And she's amazing. It was so freaky to see her doing that, and when she inhales to take another breath and just even puts it on even more. That actress, I mean, we're seeing it with the special effects. Imagine what she's doing when there is no special effects. Like, she's having to act that out to make it look as real as she can.
I mean, she's definitely screaming at the least. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Like, it's just absolutely stunning what that actress can do to make it look like that, and then let the special effects crew add to it, because it's just that actress, I really, really love what she's doing, and that's why I said it was is equally jaw-dropping and freaky. It was also gut-wrenching to watch her put out so much that it just about kills her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they're bad guys, but this show has written these two to make me care for them, make me feel for them. I'm giving them a small benefit of the doubt that there's reasons why they're doing this for each other, and I can't hate them like I hate all of some villains, and it's like, he loves her so much that he's willing to go to the ends of the earth, even if it's doing bad things, to save her. And she just did the same to save her family. And it's a powerful love story for the bad guys. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, Daya's, she's done TV and films and that kind of stuff, but she talks about that she's a stage actor, and that's really where she kind of bonded with Chad Coleman, because he is too. And so when you're acting on the stage, you've got to convey that to the audience where they can't get a close-up on your face. And so some of that is, stage acting and as projecting your face, so it's seeing that. But yeah, they've written it so well that we're identifying with these two, and having, she talked about in the interview that, that they really worked well together because of that stage background that both of them had. So yeah.
Just the way she was turning her head while she's screaming.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's freaky. It was freaky. Holy, and she can open her mouth really far.
Even without the mask. I think it was scarier without the mask.
Without the mask.
Yeah.
My God, she had the body,
wild, but
the body motions, she just emphasizing how much she is putting out. Wow. Yeah, it blew me away.
Yeah, we hear that victims look like they were stabbed with swords and cut up with chainsaws and hit by trains because of her voice. So yeah, so they did a good job at kind of portraying that. So
I know, wild. All right, well, I wanted to end with a theory of mine because I feel like it just fits the best at the end, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So I want to know, do we think Peia's powers caused her cancer? Because everything seems to be related into her throat and her vocal cords, and using her powers, drains her, at the least, she's going through a lot, right? But I'm also wondering if her powers could also be the source of her cancer. So it all feels interrelated to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't know how. We don't know how she got her powers. Yeah. Was it related to the chemicals there in Hobbs Bay that we've heard before? Was it some type of experiment by Boss Moxie, or was it natural? We don't have any explanation in this universe for. There are no superheroes other than Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no leading cause to create it like we've seen in the normal Arrowverse with the particle accelerator and things like that. So any of those things I think could lead to her both getting her powers and giving her cancer. So yeah, I had those same kind of questions as well. Are the two things related? So
yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea, could her powers cause her cancer? Because we got to try to connect those dots. She started to develop the powers, couldn't control them, lost her voice, didn't want to talk anymore, so she doesn't hurt anybody or destroy anything. Bruno comes in, helps her gain control of it and learn how to use it. Does that in turn start... Because we saw, in this episode, we saw through Superman's X-ray vision, he looked inside her, and you could see where the chunks of cancer were, and they were all down her throat, her esophagus, and in her lung, which is all voice box, throat voice related. Mm-hmm. Every spot it was. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a pretty good theory, Harley, that the use of her powers have just caused this to happen, and he's trying to fix it. So yeah, I really, really like that. Backing up 1 second, I was just scanning the episode again. When there's something I missed. When Nat and Matteo are being walked away by the bodyguard guy, they hear the explosions and everything, and they turn. Huh? What? When the bodyguard turns back to face them, Matteo punches them out, and they turn and run the opposite direction. So Nat and Matteo take off. They are gone from that area. I think he grabs her by the arm, and I think he's leading her to safety. So they didn't see any of this.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see did they witness
What they know.
Yeah.
his mom at all, but.
Yeah.
And I'll have to show you guys later. I have it paused on the screen right now with Peia screaming, and just looking at the paused image, it's freaky. Like, she looks scary. I guess that's all we got, eh? For discussion points. Okay, well, let's insert some ads if we get some, and we'll be back in a sec with favorite scenes.
Shape out and eagle!
All right, it is favorite scene time, and Harley, we're going to go with your scene first.
All right. Well, I chose the scene with Lana and Sam trying to get back out there. So we can listen first, and then I can remember what I wanted to say.
All right.
Sam, hi. Wait, that was your date?
Can you believe it? First time in my life I'm late for anything.
What happened?
I got caught up.
Got caught up or got cold feet? We're gonna need another round of fries.
What the hell was I even thinking? Dating again after all this time? It's not like riding a bicycle.
I'm sure it hasn't been that long.
Going on 30 years.
Oh, wow, that is... I have a lot of questions. Though they can wait for a more appropriate time.
After Ella left, I just never wanted to be hurt like that again. So, buried myself in work, shut everyone out. It's not very hard to disappear from real life when that's what you want. But wait, why in good heavens are you here alone on a Saturday night?
Oh, I had a bunch of work to do, and I'm trying to get rid of these Cure tickets that I have.
I'm going to assume that's a band and not some weird cult situation. Well, why would you want to do that?
Because I have no one to go with.
Oh, sounds like maybe it's time for you to get back out there, too.
Yeah. You're probably right. Truth is, Kyle broke my heart, and I'm terrified of getting hurt again.
Wish I could tell you it'll get easier. It won't. Not unless you take the first step.
How did you know when you were ready?
Peer pressure. Jordan insisted I give it a try. Exactly. Sorry I have to leave so suddenly.
Is everything okay?
Never a good thing when work calls this late. Listen, I've been eating alone in places like this for over 30 years. It's a lonely way to live. Do yourself a favor. Don't be me. Find someone to take to that concert.
Thanks, Sam.
I put your scene was it was actually split up between 3 different sections, so I had to split that up or put them all together. So
I was just talking about the middle piece, but that's okay. You got it all in there.
Yeah, it sounded better to just have their whole story together.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I liked the two of them acting together, and in the very beginning, I loved hearing Lana's like, "Oh wow," it sounded exactly how like Sarah would normally say it, and so I loved having that like connection between the two of them, and it was a really sweet scene. I mean, I liked them being able to kind of bond and support one another, and they don't often get to act together. And so I thought they had a really, really good chemistry, and I'd like to see them as acting partners again. So,
yeah. It was surprising how well they played off each other because we've never really seen it. So, yeah,
so that's good.
Thanks, Sam. Like, okay, they know each other better than we knew.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right, X-Force, you're next.
Yeah. So I called this one talking sense into each other, and so this is kind of Jordan and Sarah giving each other advice. So let's take a listen.
I had a responsibility to save that guy's life that he didn't understand. It's not my fault that I have powers and he doesn't.
Yeah, but you didn't have to rub it in his face.
That's not what I was doing.
Jordan, just try to see it from John's perspective, okay? He found something that makes himself feel special the same way that your powers make you feel special, and now he might lose it. So, can you just admit that it sucks without being so defensive?
You're right. It sucks.
Yeah. So, maybe just go talk to him.
Maybe I should. By the way, going to that concert is not just about liking the music.
That's like the whole point of going to a concert?
Could be that your mom's lonely and just wants to spend some time with you.
Wait, are you trying to make me feel guilty?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do like Sarah working and really being able to show him how much this job means to John, and just giving him that insight. And we see later in the episode when he is texting her asking if she's heard from her dad, and it's because he's had this interaction with his brother. So like I appreciate that she's able to see through that and help him see through things, and then he's able to turn right back around and say, hey, by the way, it's not just about the music. Your mom's kind of lonely. It's about spending time with you. So
I thought that was funny. I love how she's like, are you trying to make me feel guilty? And he's just like yeah. He leaves.
Totally. Yeah. I actually was on Sarah's side this time. That she had some sense there, for sure.
She did. I agree. Yeah. She had some good points. She was wise.
She had some good points. All right, I'm coming up last this week, but this was a scene I think gave us a lot of info. So I'll play it and then we'll talk about it after, because I got some things I want to say. This is called Lex is Innocent.
He had it coming. I'm not giving up my piece of South Metropolis for Moxie or anyone else. Ever. Now they won't forget it.
That's him, though. That's Luthor bragging about what he did.
No, it's not. Play it again.
I'm not giving up my piece of South Metropolis for Moxie or anyone else.
Okay, that buzzing sound. Every time I face that sound assassin, I heard the same thing.
It's an imitation of Lex's voice. What, that means all these victims? Inner gang boss Moxie? Lex Luthor didn't kill them. Mannheim and that assassin did.
Okay, so first off, Sound Assassin. I love that name better than Onomatopoeia.
That is a good name.
Let's call it the Sound Assassin. But man, the bombshell of info we get in this clip is what fantastic writing is all about. Bruno framed Lex, and Lois and Clark helped put him away with false information, and now it seems that he's going to be let out on account of this coming to light, which is perfect way to explain why Lex hasn't been around, to write an entry for him into the series, and to provide motivation for him to come after Clark and Lois, or even just after Superman. It's friggin' brilliant. These writers have got it all worked out, and I am so impressed. I just this 2-second clip we get, so much came out of that. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, they've been dropping little breadcrumbs about Lex all season long, and just to kind of give you a picture of who he is, he's up in, he's working in Metropolis, building, LexCorp. He's trying to do here, and just ins and outs and things like that. And then giving us true motivation of why he's coming and why he's upset. And, like, I'm sure he is not, a perfect guy, and he's done a lot of things wrong, but all this being taken out of the way, he's going to be on a mission to, like, make up for the years he's missed and the people who put him in prison. So writer's amazing job at bringing him in so well.
Exactly. What a way to write him in. Just perfect motivation, perfect writing to explain why on this show with Superman and Lois being in their 40s, where's Lex been all this time? Now we know, and it all makes perfect sense.
It was great, even down to, like, the quip at the beginning of the episode where you have, like, the Luthor Air commercial.
Yeah.
And the way that they placed that, by the way, was absolutely brilliant. And she's at the end of it, Lois is, like, exasperated, and she's like, still making money even though you're in prison. I was like, I like this. I like the way that they're working all this in, and they're ramping it up. It's a little bit more each episode until we finally see him.
Yeah, like they've filtered in all this backstory and information about Lex.
Yep.
And because we talked about a long time ago, many episodes ago, like, how are they going to get him in here? And I was saying, like, I think Lex has been there all along. He's not going to drop in and be a brand new villain on the scene. He's been there all along, and that's what all these little bits of info are showing us, that, yes, he has been there.
Mm-hmm.
LexCorp is part of this history, part of this universe, and always has been. So it's just cool.
Yeah, and, the writers and the creators have said that, like, he is going to be introduced in this season, but, like, he is not, like, the main villain. They're introducing him, putting him into play here at the end of this season, and their plans are for him to be, a bigger part in season 4. And that's another reason why I want a season 4.
I know.
Is because of how well they've set him up here in this season. So,
yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. So did you guys see this screenshot?
Yes.
I love it. Freaky. All right, let's get into Patreon. Remind people how they can support the show.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
It's feedback, your time to speak up. Believe it or not, what you think and you say means a lot to us. But why should we sit here and wait if you won't hurry up? So feedback or simply shut up.
I know something about telling everybody to shut up, I think, is what Peia is trying to do, so it seems suitable. Let's kick it off with, a Facebook message from Dreamweaver. And she says, I don't have time to send in proper feedback, but dang, that was a great episode. I loved it. While each of the kids had conflict with each other this week, they also all acted as the voice of reason for each other at some point. The parents all meeting and finding out who each other were went exactly as we expected. I did think that Bruno would try to be a bit more conspicuous, but guess not. Big fight right out in the open. Seeing Chrissy, Lois, and Clark all doing some investigating together was really nice, and putting a bunch of pieces together. Chrissy getting a chance to fly was fun too. Oh yeah, we never even talked about that. She got to fly with Superman and she loved it. That was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And it looks like we're going to go get more Bizarro after all, which, dang it, we have not brought up in the last couple episodes, and they have shown him twice at the very, very end of the credits.
Yeah.
We should talk about Bizarro for a second.
Yeah, he opened his eyes in this episode.
And they were like a glazed over white. So what does that mean? Is he blind? Is he like zombie? What is that?
I don't know. Maybe
I think it was just his eyes.
I don't think his eyes were always like glazed over white like that. I think he had normal eyes.
don't think he did.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He looked that to me looked like zombie. Like the eyes are dead; they're just white and nothing in them, no life behind them. So his eyes don't work like that. He looked like a human before.
Maybe they're going to make him more like the Bizarro in the comics, who's not very intelligent.
But what?
We'll see.
What is like? Bruno found the body, and he's been working on a way to wake him up and revive him. But how is he going to have control over him? Because obviously that's what he wants it for. He wants to understand what is this Superman thing, this clone. What is that?
I think it's less about control and more about having his abilities to help people, and especially his wife.
Oh, you think he's going to use him as a lab rat?
Right. Like if he can't get Superman and he's cut off from Superman's blood, and those things are not effective, like he's trying to use, Bizarro to try to further the research. So
okay. I thought he was using him as a new soldier to fight Superman with. That's what I thought.
So,
he might too, but I think I'm with Jeff there. I think it's more to kind of like further the research a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're bringing in Lex Luthor and we're getting Bizarro. Like it's going to be a double whammy coming up for poor Suits. Jeez.
I know.
Yeah.
Next up is Faith McQuinn with a message on Facebook too.
All right. Holy crap, this episode was amazing. That showdown outside the restaurant was sort of terrifying. Yeah. I hope Matteo gets to see his mom before she passes. I also think Superman is going to demand Bruno gets a visit as well. I agree. Poor Matteo and poor Nat. I knew that relationship was doomed, but they can't help who their parents are. Right. How long before Kyle puts things together and figures out there's another superhero in town and that John might know about it? Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, 2 excellent points that we did not bring up in our discussion. Where are they holding Peia? Is she at the DOD? Because it seemed like John Henry was in kind of control and was arguing with Superman that she needs to stay there. So what? Because Superman said, let me take her to safety. She's got to get to a hospital. Why would he take her to the DOD?
Because they know how to deal with superpowered beings.
Okay.
So,
but did he hand her over? Now John Henry's in control or in charge of that? Because it didn't seem like John Henry's like, let's just basically let her die because whatever. And Superman was like,
I mean,
no.
he's in charge, but Sam did get the call from work, and that's why he had to leave the diner. So that's, I'm assuming he's headed back over there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think John Henry's going to like try to kill her or anything, but I do kind of agree with his points. Like, she's got 2 very different sides to her. And now that they know who she is, you kind of have to recognize how dangerous she is. And she straight up just tried to kill both of them and would have succeeded if she had had her health.
Right.
So, I mean, I kind of agree. She needs to be contained and sedated, and they can try to help her, try to treat her. But at the same time, they have to contain her. You can't just take her to a regular hospital because then she'll just go home and come after them again. So
do you think the DOD's military medicine can work with Bruno's medicine and they might be able to find something to help her?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We did get to see like the scan of her when we were looking through the mirror, the one-way glass, and seeing the different areas. And so, who knows?
It makes me wonder who has the more advanced tech to be able to do more between the 2 of them. So, interesting. So, again, bringing back to my theory, will they work together? Like you said, or like Faith said, allow Matteo to get in there, allow Bruno to get in there to say goodbye, and maybe Bruno will be like, okay, cuff me up, take me captive, but I need to stay with Peia. I need to, help her. I don't know. Something's got to come of this. I can't, because if they keep Bruno away from her, that's just going to cause a war. So I think something has to give that they're going to work together. I don't know. something.
Yeah, and I had a theory a couple episodes back that like he was going to somehow find out about Jordan and find out that, you know, here's this person that's got Superman's powers, but he's half human, and he was going to like use Jordan to help heal Peia, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But that, you know, if, you know, some way they cross paths, who knows? So
because Jordan might screw up, think he's a teenager without experience, he might screw up and get caught, and now he's under the experimenting microscope, so to speak.
Yeah.
But to her other point, though, Kyle, we forgot about that. Kyle's like, this is the second time this has happened. Something has gone in and frozen one of my fires that is out of control, and he's going to start. I think he's going to start investigating. So, what's going to come there? What's going to happen with that little story?
Yeah, is that?
Assuming he'll figure out what everybody else already knows.
Yeah, he's other than Sophie, he's the only one in his family that
doesn't know.
Doesn't know the family secrets.
So will they just let him in on it? Like will Jonathan or Jordan go like, "Hey, Mr. Cushing, like that's us"? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I'm thinking it probably has to be Clark or Lois that tells him, because, you know, they've kind of laid down the law that, you know, we've got to keep things tight, and so yeah.
I have a feeling the writers are going to use this as a story point for Kyle, though, is like he's going to kind of be investigating it and not be happy about it. Someone's interfering with his firefighting and he doesn't like it, and it's going to cause a bit of trouble first before he gets the truth.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right. Next up, email from Comic Geek Kev.
Hello, legends. Again, this show does it again. Amazing opening scene with no dialogue, but all the feels, right down to the change in music. I may have misunderstood. Did Clark put together the bed that his mom passed away in? Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Whoa.
Great Caesar's ghost. It was almost like this show knows exactly what it's doing. Usually. See below. Very well done. A quick note. Jordan made a comment that Clark and Lana can be just friends. This is one thing I feel like they don't do enough with. Clark trusts Lana enough to share his secret and Lois, and is incredibly ill, yet I don't think we've seen any interactions between them recently. Maybe since Lois's diagnosis. That's true. We haven't seen Lois and Lana having interactions together. We also haven't seen Sam in a few weeks. I know there is a lot going on with Mannheim and the powered people, etc., but I feel like that connection with people outside the Kent farm is a little lacking. So it was nice to see at least some interactions in this episode. And it was kind of nice to see Sam and Lana having the conversation. I'm not sure we've seen that before. For a brief moment, I thought they were heading down the road of those two hooking up.
No.
Please don't go there. No. I don't think they're going to do that. No. All right. Superboy shout out. Twice. Are we calling him that now? But Jordan has apparently returned to being a bit of a douche nozzle. I'm still not sold on the costume. Yeah. He needs Superman emblem on the front.
That is an awful costume. He looks like a pilot from like 1940s. It's just dumb looking.
He looks kind of like a bug.
Yeah.
I get why it would be dark and not showy, but something about it just doesn't work for me. Daredevil had a totally black costume in season 1, And that worked. Maybe if we had more than momentary glimpses, it would be better. Even when he saved Superman, we didn't get a great look at the whole thing. Am I alone on this? If so, I will stand bravely against the onslaught of, "What, are you blind? It's great." I don't think you're alone there.
I don't think you're alone.
Yeah. Seems Mannheim clarified what was most important to him. He knew Peia was sick, saw what was coming when she was using her powers on John Henry and Superman, and didn't stop her. Then cried over her when she fell out. Spare me. Now that Team Smallville Gazette knows that he is responsible for the deaths that Luthor has been accused of, there can't be any doubt of what kind of guy he is. And I liked Peia before, but she obviously knows at least a good part of what he's been up to. Unfortunately for Matteo, or fortunately, it looks like he didn't. The cool sound and visual effects. Yeah, we've been talking about that. Hey, John Henry, I don't know how it worked on your Earth, but when you tell your brilliant teenage daughter that she can't see the guy that she likes and takes away her phone, you basically just guaranteed that she's going to find a way to see him. I'm going to take a guess here. Those kids are going to see each other somehow, and it will end in tragedy or someone needing a super save. Yep. Yep. Real Romeo and Juliet vibe going on there. So, and we end in much the way we started, no dialogue, but the story is clear. The only thing I didn't get was who Jordan was on the phone with. He was texting Sarah. Yeah. So that it was hard to see. I had to pause it to see. And Bizarro awakes. Might Mannheim seek to use him to take revenge for Peia? Even though it certainly wasn't Superman or Steel's fault that she so ill and drove herself so far. I'm just wondering if he's going to fit into the story. Where he's gonna fit into the story. Now let's get Luthor in the flesh. Giving this one 9 out of 10 slow flyers. The armor and especially Superman seem to take a long time to get to Metropolis.
Kind of agree with that statement. I thought so too.
Yeah. Until next time, Comic Geek Kev. Sorry, meant to add this to my main email, but do we know how Superman knows Diggle in this universe? What's the connection without the other heroes? No Arrow, and this isn't the Superman that was in the crossovers. How do they know each other? Maybe I just don't remember. Well, he's involved with Argus, so he might have worked with him that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It may be from the government connections and things like that, so.
Yeah, I don't think they really told us.
No.
From what I've gathered, this is a different Earth and a whole different story. This Diggle here it's not the Diggle we know from the rest of the Arrowverse. This is this Earth's version of Diggle, and they just know each other as if they've always known each other. It's just that these characters are all connected. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, based on what I heard from David Ramsey the other week. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they said that in some interviews after his appearance in season 1. Is that season 1?
Yeah. So the one point I wanted to go all the way back to in his beginning of his email, he makes a clear suggestion that it's weird that Lana isn't seeing Clark or seeing Lois to be like, hey, how are you guys doing? Is Lois okay? Like, that actually does see with how close, like, Lana's supposed to be his best friend. Why wouldn't she be checking in on them? Hey, how are things are going, and how's Lois doing? I would have expected something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how we're skipping at least 2 weeks between every episode in the context of the show because of her treatments. So we're not seeing what's happening in the in-between time. But what they're showing us still, I agree, doesn't make it seem like she's checking in on her best friend and his wife. So, yeah, that is a little strange. I'll give that to you as well. So.
Cool stuff, Kev. Next up is Dad L.
Hello, Super Fam. Dad L here. Wow, this show, I just can't believe the quality that they maintain every week. And I just feel like it just keeps getting better and better with each episode. We had another hard opening sequence to watch as Lois continues with her treatment. Wow, they are really doing a great job there. I want to get right into the big throwdown, the big fight at Little Aces, and all the confrontations. That was just awesome, and it's so great how they weave these storylines together. What was seemingly, this party in Metropolis at the beginning of the season now led to Natalie and Matteo intersecting with Lois and Clark and Bruno Mannheim and Intergang. I just love how that's all come together, even with Peia being Bruno's wife. I think that's some masterful storytelling. Peia, wow, her screaming there at the end of the fight. Did you see her throat and the effects there? Wow, that was just an awesome display of power. That was just an amazing sequence to see. And I also really like Bruno giving the nod to Soups to take Peia to the hospital. It's really helped these villains flesh them out to give them kind of this human quality to be able to see into their personal lives. And so I've really enjoyed the villains in that respect. One nitpick, Superman dropped right down in the middle of her sonic attack. Normally, he would have easily scoped out the scene, come in behind her, taken her out, done something, but I guess it had to happen this way for the story. And just Matteo, man, don't you feel for that kid? He obviously had no idea what his family was involved in. Obviously, I don't think he's going to want anything to do with it, and I think eventually he'll come around with the irons, and something will work out there. And I also think they've come up with a great way organically to bring Lex Luthor into the story. I'm sure Lex is very upset about being framed and being in jail for something he didn't do, an actual crime that he did not commit. But I predict that he is actually going to team up with Lois and Clark to take Bruno down. Their interests are going to align in this respect, and he's actually going to form an uneasy alliance with Superman to take down Bruno. And finally, just want to say Bizarro is looking good, but what will his state of mind be when he fully comes around and comes to? That's going to be interesting. I'm glad they gave us that little stinger there at the end. We haven't forgot about him, and here he comes. I'm going to give this episode 9 orders of fries. Dead Al, last father of Krypton.
Nice.
Good stuff, Dead Al. Yeah, good stuff. He was with me on a few points I made already, so that's cool. Next up is Kane, and she says, hello, super fam. Guess who's coming to dinner? Indeed. I love this callback to the 1967 Sidney Poitier movie of the same name. So it looks like Lois has 3 more treatments to go. From experience, the more treatments you go through, the rougher and longer the side effects will hit. So happy that Jonathan got his promotion to junior firefighter. What a big step for him. Yet I'm also sad that his happiness seems so short-lived. I really hope that Kyle realizes that he had nothing to do with rescuing that guy from the building. I know that siblings fight. I'm just glad my sister and I never fought that badly. Jordan was way out of line and overly harsh with John. It's a good thing Sarah was there to witness it and make him realize he was wrong in acting like that, and that he apologized to John. Chrissy finally got to fly with Superman. I found it hilarious that it went straight into a commercial for Luthor Airlines.
Yes.
So, with knowledge that Lex was framed by Bruno and Peia, this is more than enough to get him released from prison. With 6 episodes left, I wonder how fast the payback will come to Bruno and Peia and possibly Matteo, and much we'll get of him as the singular villain. How much, I guess, is what she meant. How much? From the other lady at the clinic, we find out that Peia has probably been a meta since she was a teenager. All the high school and teenage drama stress would definitely trigger meta abilities, or maybe it was environmental. It could be what gave her powers also gave her cancer. Either way, I hope that Matteo gets to see her again before she passes. He did nothing wrong and should not be kept from seeing his mother, who could pass at any time. The fact that both kids were barely out of the restaurant before he started to beat John Henry, Bruno is unhinged. He brought all of this down on his family. Oh, Bizarro lives again. My rating for this episode, 9 outfits that make Jordan look like a flying piece of black licorice. Until next week, Akane out.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Right on board with you, Harley.
Yeah, we've been like right together with our theories all season long. It's been great.
Black licorice with eyeballs. Yep.
I love that.
Really funny. Good stuff. Good stuff. Awesome feedback, everybody. As always, if you want to be part of the show and get in your thoughts, guys, just listen to this.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
All right, guys, that wraps us for Superman and Lois this week. We have Flash coming out soon on Saturday. Hopefully you guys have all watched the second of the 4-part finale. I have not yet. I will be doing that tonight. All I can say is the first part was absolutely amazing, and me and X-Force had a fantastic conversation about it. So check that out. And yeah, get to that. That's really all I got, guys. So everybody else have a good couple days. We'll be talking to you soon. This is the Flash signing off for now.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
And I really messed up our sign off because we got like a full minute of music to go through. Let me see if I can do some magical editing here. You ready? Here you go, people. Live musical editing on the fly. Fade out. Stop. And bring back the closing.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.
That took 2 hands. You should have seen the dials I had to turn to make that happen.
Very impressive.